I describe it as the plan to, as you as an employee, to be essentially taught what you need to do for your job and how to improve upon the places where either the business has need or you personally have need. I think that's where how I describe L&D to a person who doesn't have sort of background in it. Oh, it's gigantic. I mean, every single company, every single government, every single institution of higher education, everyone needs L&D. So you're talking about something that every company is investing in, no matter whether you see it or you feel it or touch it or not. So it is out there, and it is something that we're all experiencing. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing has really been disparate data, especially on an employee, right? So you may have an employee profile within whatever ERP system that you exist in that goes, you have time and benefits. So enterprise resource planning. But what I would say, what's the most interesting is that you're at a place, right, where we have all this data about the employee, when they were hired, how many more days off they have, do they have children, what's their core skill set, right? And then we may have another second platform which actually does their talent management, right? Where it tells us, are they actually performing at the rate where they need? And that might not actually connect with the financial system, right, of the sort of the budget and sort of the overall revenue. So bringing together some of those data sets through agentic AI is really, really key, and I think is a hallmark of what our firm Deloitte is doing. Yeah, I would say if you can build a platform that brings together seamlessly learning goals, right, institutional training at an individual level, and also team training. That's where I would really spend the time. And I would make sure that it can integrate with many of the systems that exist out there for employee development right now. Because what we don't want is we don't want another product out in the field, right? We want something that integrates with what we have. I think if I was a founder right now and I was looking for private equity money, or I was looking to, get off the ground, that's where I'd be spending my time, because every business is looking for a fast track in that department. That's a really good question. I don't know that there's an easy answer to that, right? What you have to say is our business unit succeeding, right? And how are our people doing? We've talked a lot about today AI. We talked a lot about learning and development. We didn't really talk about the human works of this, or we talked a little bit about human operations, right? But the people, right? How much turnover do you have in your teams, right? I don't like looking at turnover at a global level within a company, because there's way too many business units going on. But what about specific teams? I worked in a team once where I turned over all of the employees that we had in a 2-year span, right? So I had 6 employees, they all turned over in a 2-year stretch. Well, that tells me that we're having a problem, and that we need to. That's a way that we could actually show the ROI in using learning and development. Much of what those people said was not only was there factors in their job that they didn't like, but they didn't have the growth opportunities that they were really looking for. Any institution, right, or any company needs to make a decision on one product, right, buying into one ecosystem. Because what we're starting to see is, well, a CTO or a CIO is buying multiple large learning language models, right? They're buying multiple products, just to name a few. They're buying OpenAI, they're buying ChatGPT, they're buying Claude, and they're buying Gemini, right? And they're buying AWS as well, right? So they're buying everything, right? Select all. It's the select all CTO method that has existed for many generations. What I'm saying is, let's find one system, integrate that well, right? So if you're a Microsoft shop, right, then buy the Microsoft, right? If you're a Google shop, buy the Google. If you have nothing and you're agnostic right now, well, then playing field's open. That's the way that I think to navigate this problem. You can both have a cost savings, but also have an integrated platform. Because while the systems can speak to one another, and they all have their own quirks to them, right? And they all have their own pluses and minuses. What I have to say is, how do we reduce spend on this in order to build one cohesive system?